So this is our last section on the Louis database, and it's through the American Printing House for the Blind. And those of you who are not familiar with it, the American Printing House for the Blind is located in Louisville, Kentucky, and it is federally funded and sponsored. And one of the big, it's as much of a area now for them as it ever was, but it's changing because as books become more electronic, there is less production of large prints and of hard copy Braille. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is. They can help you find what's the word for it? They can help you find books that are both located in Bookshare and Learning Ally. There's a way, they have a database that allows you to search both of those AMPs at the same time. Honestly, to me, it's not a big deal to search both of them either way. But if you're looking for a specific book that you want in hard copy Braille, and let me tell you what, if you are a blind person reading math, you do not want to be doing that on a Braille display, and you certainly don't want to be doing it with audio. The main reason you don't is because, of course, with that Braille display, you're only getting one line of that math at a time. And I don't know about you, but the last time that I tried to do one line of math at a time was a long time ago, and I don't really care to think about it too much. I'm pretty sure I'm still traumatized. But you also auditorily, it isn't a thing. So if you can have as much of that Braille in front of you as you can in math, is particularly important. But you can go and do like a search page, and there are different vendors that offer different kinds of books. So if I'm teaching oops, I went forward again. Man, I didn't know I could do that either. Huh, what do you know? So what you can do is, if I'm looking for a specific book and I want it in Braille, there are vendors that provide books that produce books that are used, and they make them available for purchase. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy to produce a Braille book. It really isn't. It's actually time consuming, but that's why they have these vendors out there, because you want to make sure, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not a really big fan of reinventing the wheel. If someone has already done a project, I don't want to do it over. I would rather find them. So finding these vendors and being able to locate them and say, I need this science book or this math book in Braille, I would love that. And a lot of times they might have one version back from what you're looking for, but a lot of times it'll be close enough to work for your student. But again, these tend to be more services for blind and low vision than they tend to be for students who may have learning differences or anything like that.
Hey, Amy, not to interrupt you, but Mike has raised his hand, so
Sure.
I do believe we have a question.
Oh, go, Mike.
Yeah, quick question while he's, we'll see if he chimes back in here. When you get materials from this database in print format, can you order various grades of Braille? Because isn't there like there's grades, correct?
Yeah. There are basically two grades of Braille. There's what they call uncontracted, which is how you and I read. They're just letters, one letter at a time. But as you can imagine, your eyes get so much more field than your fingers do. So in Braille, they have what are called contractions. So that's several letters at a time using one symbol on a page. And if you want to look it up, it's really quite fascinating. But most of the time, the books are, you can work with the vendor because they have software that can determine whether it's an uncontracted or contracted book. But keep in mind that if it's a math book, that math book, I'm not even kidding you, like an Algebra 1 math book is about 30 volumes of Braille, and that's contracted. And if it was written uncontracted, which is like in the longer form of Braille, it would if it would be 60 volumes, I would be surprised if it wasn't even longer than that. So you have to really have a lot of considerations. But yeah, you can play with it, especially with books for younger kids, which are super important to have that Braille available for our younger kids. So this video is a really quick tutorial about how to use the Louis database. Really, it's pretty specific to that. I'm just going to skip on past it, but she does a really nice job. So what if none of these sources has the book that I need? And that's a really super good question. Anybody can search the NIMAC. You can simply just go to the NIMAC website, which is here, it's nimac.us. And if you find the book that you want in the NIMAC, you can contact your state's NIMAC coordinator. And I've listed Donna Hudson here, who is the one for Wisconsin, and ask her, hey, can you see if this book that's in the NIMAC can be assigned to Bookshare or Learning Ally, and that way I can sign in and get what I want and just grab it down for me. So there are books out there. Publishers are required to have files of their books and have them available. I'm not entirely sure how it works, never having worked from start to finish on it, but I know it's possible. A lot of times they can go and check with the publishers, all of that stuff. And that would be Donna Hudson's probably purview. And I'm sure that if you had questions about how that worked, you could contact her and ask. I have actually, interestingly enough, was contacted by the Wisconsin Historical Society, who creates resources for, kids who are in fourth grade. They have to learn about Wisconsin history. And they actually contacted DPI to ask about how do they make their books accessible. And they were actually talking about how do we make the books that we have in our electronic platforms that are already electronic accessible. And they were talking differently about that than about the NIMAC. And those are actually, interestingly enough, two entirely different questions. And I could just totally go on that one forever, because we talk about, like, when you talk about online curriculum, well, is online curriculum, is that something that needs to be accessible? And absolutely it does. But usually,
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, go, Mike. Yeah.
National Library to read books about assistive technology. They have real educational and some fun books.
They do.
I can't get it working on Accent 1400.
Oh, NLS? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Oh, are you having trouble with Bard? Yeah, you know what? I noticed that today. And they're having a problem with their sign-in. And I saw a message this morning, and it sounds terrible. It makes it sound like I have all the time in the world to read books, but sometimes I do that on my break. And I noticed they had a communication come out, and they're making people, for some reason, it's triggering sign-ins for everybody for logging in, because they want to know whether you're a patron or a librarian that needs it. No, that's not it. No.
Hey, Mike, this is Kathy. What, and forgive me because I'm not 100% sure, is your Accent running on a Windows platform? Yeah, boy, I don't know. I'll have to do some research. What about you, Amy? What do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
Let me do some research, Mike, see what I can find out. Is this something new, Mike? Because I know in the past I've had kids using it and they were fine. Yeah, okay. Let me see. I'll do some research for you.
Yeah, and definitely email me if you want to, Mike, and we can look at it anytime. Because, that's got to be super frustrating. Okay, so this is just a short. Oh, I'm sorry.
Amy, it's Stacy. Could I just chime in on your previous slide just really quickly about the
Oh,
request?
yeah, I'm sure you have a lot to say. Go, yeah.
Okay, just really quickly, because I know our time is short here. So I just want to mention a couple things with this. So if you went to that link that she has in there at the Wisconsin AIM Center's website, it'll take you there, and then you'll see a tab that says submit a request. A lot of times we were getting questions like, okay, so student qualifies for AIM, but now what? And so we are actually making a short video guide to also help with that process and to explain to you what Donna's doing on her end, and such. So that is, I know they reported it this week, and so that's in production right now, and that will get posted. It'll also come along with that decision-making tree. We're trying to incorporate some UDL work into that decision tree just to kind of help
Hi.
guide things along. So just to let you know that that resource is coming too, to help districts, teachers, case managers with that sort of, okay, they qualify, now what, just to help explain that. So,
Okay, wow, that's
all
super
right, thank
cool.
you.
Yeah. That's super exciting. I like that. Anything to make it easier for us, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mm,
Parent.
okay. So there's a short video about how the NIMIC works. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or want follow up with anything? We got like 5 minutes, it looks like. I can't believe I didn't even practice, y'all. Pretty good timing.
You did great, Amy. It's perfect timing. I also just want to point out too, with that DPI bulletin and, the definition of print disability, again, bringing that awareness to that reading disability portion of it, because a lot of times that is getting missed. And so that's also part of the outreach that we're working on, to really bring that also to the forefront of this discussion. So again, great resources, Amy, and I appreciate the link to the bulletin too at the beginning. This has just been your expertise, along with your personal experiences with the resources, has been really helpful. So thank you so much for your time and expertise today.
Well, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate everyone being here, taking the time out of your busy schedules on your pre-Friday,